In this lesson, we're going to take a look at writing two operation equations. Now, we've seen single operation equations. X plus 4 equals 12. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time writing these out because the simple sentence would be something similar to this. Jim has 4 pencils. He got some more. Now he has a total of 12. So writing out that equation doesn't take a whole lot because there's only one operation with it. I also could have something like this. Jim has some pencils. He now has 3 times more. He has a total of 12. How many pencils did he have to begin with? So those are single operation equations. So we're going to jump in with two operation equations. Now there are some pieces with this. Most two operation equations are going to look like this. You're going to have a number times or divide by another number, and then plus a number and equals a number. So let's give these things some names. First of all, in the setup, you're going to have an end result. And I don't want to say total because total implies add, but the end result is going to be what everything amounts to. So some way, shape, or form, you need an end amount. This is where this person ended up. Where did they start from? You're also going to have a value that is your beginning point. Now, we talked about a term with no coefficient, no variable, is called a constant. All right, so one of your items is going to be the constant. And this almost is your starting point. Not almost, it is. So keep in mind, one of your values has to be your starting point. Okay, you had this amount, now you're going to get some more or get some more taken away. This is going to be your variable amount or the amount that changes. Okay, you started with this, but then this keeps changing by this amount. And this is the change amount. So you earn $10 a week. Okay, that's the change amount because it depends on the number of weeks that you work. This is your starting point. This is how much it changes per whatever, per week, per minute, per whatever. And then the last thing is your variable. Your variable is going to be the thing we are trying to figure out. Usually the question is asking something like, okay, how many weeks will it take if you get this much every week and you started with this amount? So the variable becomes what we're trying to find, and it's usually how many. So this is your general form for a two-step equation. You're going to have an end total, an end amount that you need to end up with. You're going to have a starting point, which is my constant, my added number, and then you're going to have this item that changes. Okay, you make this much a week, or the temperature drops this much every hour. So this almost becomes a rate, it drops this much or increases this much per whatever. The variable then represents that thing that we are trying to find. So let's take a look at a few examples and see if we can't write an equation based on the English words. So our first example says you want a total of $8. You are currently in debt $125. You make $32 per week. How many weeks will it take you to get the goal that you want? So let's try to put pieces together. Let's start down here. This is my end result. Reread the problem. What is the end result? You want to end up with what? Well, it's in the first sentence. You want a total of $8. That's where you want to end up. Okay, so you're looking for your end result, so I'm going to put 8 here. Next, easiest to find is what was my starting point. It says you are in debt $125. That would be your starting point. That's where you currently are. You are in debt $125. Now we got to think, how do we write that as a number? You are in debt, which means you owe money, $125. So is that a positive 125 or a negative 125? Hopefully you say it's negative. So that's my starting point, is plus negative $125. So the last thing I have to figure out, and you can call it a couple different things. I mean, it's my rate, it's my amount of change. So there's a few words you could say there. You make $32 per week. Now it says nothing about weeks, so we don't know how many weeks we're dealing with. That's why there's a variable here. So my rate of change is 32. So this becomes my equation, 32n plus negative 125 equals 8. What does the variable stand for? N stands for weeks. It's the thing we want to find, how many. And in this question it asks how many weeks, so we could now solve this to figure out how many weeks. If you started $125 in debt, you make $32 a week, how many weeks will it take you to end up at a total of $8? Next example, the temperature is -8 degrees. It raises 2 degrees every hour. How long until it is 78 degrees? So again, it's easiest to start with what is my end goal? I'm trying to end up at what? Well, what temperature am I trying to end up at? The question is how long until it is 78 degrees? 78 degrees is my end result, my end total. So I'm trying to get an end result of 78. What's my starting point? When I start this problem out, my starting temperature is -8. It gives me an idea if my temperature is -8. What is my rate? What is it raising? This says it's raising 2 degrees every hour. So if it's raising, that's +2. And that's my equation. Now I can solve from here. I'm not worried about solving. I'm just worried about, can I write it? From this situation, can I write an equation? Last example I want to look at, a vat. Now first of all, a vat is like this huge metal container that like huge food processing, food manufacturers use to hold lots of liquid ingredients, etc. That's what a vat is. A vat holds 112 gallons. Each bucket now added in brings in 29 more gallons. You want 532 total gallons to be in the vat. So let's start taking things through. And how much do I want to end up with? I want to end up with 532. So 532 is my end result. What is my starting point? A vat currently holds 112 gallons. 112. Okay, my rate, every time I'm doing something repeatedly, it's bringing in 29 more gallons. So each bucket that I dump in brings in 29 gallons. And in this example, the variable n refers to how many buckets will it take. Okay. So the question in this would be, this is my starting point, 112. Each bucket I add in is 29. I want to end up with 532 gallons. How many buckets will I have to dump in order to get that amount, 532?